Do you need answers? Is there a need for a true spiritual and prophetic encounter with God? Join Dr. Candice Smithyman and various relevant prophetic voices from around the world. Become enlightened as we walk down the true road to an authentic spiritual encounter. You will experience the glory of God with Dr. Candice and the Glory Road Show.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Glory Road television show. I'm your host, Dr. Candice Smithyman. I'm so excited to be with you today. It's a very, very special day today. Yes, we are in the month of promotion, the month of vision. God is getting you all ready and all set up. And so I have a super special guest today because we want to launch you into financial freedom. And this woman, she's been studying finances, estate planning, taxes, all kinds of financial freedom. And she's going to impart that to us today. And I want you to know I am just as excited as you are because she's imparting to me too. Come on. God has given me a vision and I need provision to accomplish it. And so the Lord wants to set you up today here in this month of promotion. And I'm excited to have with me my very, very special guest, Judy Copenbarger. And she is a best-selling author. Like I said, a financial strategic planner of so much. I'll have to share all that with you. Too many titles for me to bring forth. But the most important thing about this woman is she loves the Lord and she's anointed and she has a special word. She's helped switch my thinking in the area of prosperity and financial freedom. And I got to bring my friends to you. I mean, my friends that touch my heart, I got to share with you. So I'm super excited to bring on Judy Copenbarger today to talk all about money, truth, and life. Woo! Hi, Judy.
Hi, Candice. How are you today? It's so good to see you and catch up. Last time I saw you live, we were in Hawaii together serving. And it's just so good to see you and get caught up.
Well, thank you. Thank you for finding time in your busy schedule. I know you and your husband are traveling the world, doing ministry all over. And I'm so glad you carved out today because today is a very, very special day. I don't want to date this program, but I've got to. It is 8/8, okay? It is August 8th. 8th is the month of new beginnings, and today is the day of new beginnings, 8/8. And so this is an awesome time to talk about promotion and vision. And I know that there's an impartation on this program because we're going to set people free today. And you have got some of the keys to that because finances either help propel our destiny or they make us feel as though we're restricted and unable to do what it is that God's calling us to do. So just share with us, just start pouring it out, some insights on us. You got different pillars of truth and all of this. So just start sharing.
Absolutely. I think what you're asking me to share are the money truths. You know, there's so much out there that is not true about money. What you hear from people that want to sell you something or promote something, you can't open your emails or turn on the television without something, some really great generic advice about what you need to do. Do this, do that. And it's funny, you know, right now the big thing is buy gold. Well, if it's so valuable, why are they selling it? Why aren't they buying more, right? Doesn't it make you think? It's like, if it's such a good deal, you should be on the other side of that, buying, scooping up all you can. So you just have to always take, you know, all of the promotion with a grain of salt. There's usually some kind of a conflict of interest built into some of those conversations and promotions. So I say, instead of being reactive, let's be proactive. And being proactive just means chart the course, create a template, have a blueprint. How about a financial roadmap? Where you know exactly where you're going. You know, I'm sitting right now, I'm back in Southern California today for this morning. And so if I was going to go to Vancouver, beautiful city, I would get on the 5 and I would go north and I just wouldn't get off. I'd go straight north, not east, not west, not anywhere but north. That would be my destination because I know exactly where I'm going. Well, if a couple days from now I'm in Atlanta or Chicago or Boise, it's like I might still get to Vancouver, but it's not the most efficient, effective, optimal way to get there, right? I've made a mistake. I've gotten off course. So you really have to start any kind of financial planning, any strategic planning with real clarity around your goals and your destination. I think that's the one key a lot of people miss. They want to do tasks. They want to do activities. You know, I should buy this insurance policy or put some money in my 401k. I should invest in ABC stock, you know, because everybody else is doing it. So you're doing all these little things. Maybe I'll make a will, but they're not really in a cohesive, collaborative, planning, strategic way. The outcome is not the first thing you think about. And with every plan, no matter what it is, particularly with finances, you want to make sure that you start with the end in mind. Where do I want to go? Then we can work backwards, chart the course, and connect the dots. It's so simple, right? Maybe not easy, but very, very simple.
That's so good, Judy. And, I can feel in the spirit right now that there's people that are watching the broadcast and they're thinking to themselves, you know what? I've just been just going through the motions here, but I haven't necessarily charted the end. And I think some people feel like, you can get stuck doing the same things. So I felt like today's program was so important, Judy, because I feel like in the spirit, God wants to take what we've always done and he wants to say, no, let's do something new. Now, I'm not telling people if it's been working for you to make a change, but I am saying that for a lot of people, things aren't working. And God does want to make a change because he's launching you into something that's new, something that's expansive. And so what does it take to do that? Well, it may take looking at that end result and then charting those goals. So just walk us through what some of that process might look like if we had a dream or a vision that God gave us, and how could we get stuck in certain cycles and then not be able to get out of them?
I love that. And I love what you said in your opening about the provision for the vision. And that's what it is. That vision, that clarity of vision. What do I want for my family? What do I want for my legacy? What do I want to complete my purposefulness on earth? A lot of those things, there's like a price tag attached to it, right? Like, I know you're traveling the world as well. It takes money to go there. It takes money for the hotels and the airline tickets, and to be able to go provide the services and the ministry that you provide to everyone. None of that comes without a cost. We don't want to get hung up on the cost because God can provide, but we can be wise with how we steward what he is providing. So to answer your question, you want to start with that clarity of vision. What's the destination? What are the specific goals that we have? Get your team in place. It might be financial advisor. It might be attorney. It might be a CPA. It might be someone that helps you with your business plan, with your strategic corporate structures. You pull all of those things together on your team, and then you just work the plan. You put your little toe in the water and just step by step, baby steps, implement your plan. And the final, I would say, step to this process or this method that is proven, it just works, is you want to make sure that you allow for course correction. So some people, and if you're dealing with a couple, one is a little bit more this way than the other usually, and we're not always on the same area of the spectrum. But one person gets kind of stuck, like that's the plan, we have to do it that way for the next 40 years. A plan is a moving, breathing thing. Give God room. Be flexible. Right? Things are going to happen. You're going to get knocked off course. There's another goal that comes up. There's another opportunity for ministry or service that comes up. That's going to change the plan, but you got to get back on and have regular course corrections to make sure that you're still going to get to, in my case, Vancouver, right? Even though God sent me over to Las Vegas for a while. I hope not. That's not my favorite. Or he sent me over to Denver for a while. But now it's time to go back and get to where that ultimate destination is. So those are the steps. It's just a few. You got to get your team. You got to course correct, prioritize those specific goals, and you're going to get there.
I love that. I feel the grace coming off of you, and I feel like people that have been stuck, they've been stuck like, well, I have just been doing this, and I have been doing it and doing it and doing it, but I haven't maybe gone back to reevaluate it. Or maybe in some cases, it's not even like you go back to reevaluate it, but all of a sudden you hit a stopping point because you need a course correction. That's when you go, okay, well, Lord, what are you doing here? And, things were going really, really well. And now all of a sudden they're not. And, did I do something wrong? Or are you just inviting me to go into a new direction? I think this is all a mindset, Judy, right? Is God inviting us to shift with him? Or have we just totally done something wrong? So speak, you're so full of grace. Just speak to people about how we can get stuck in certain areas, and then we can feel so guilty or so bad, even though maybe things were going good and then now all of a sudden they're not going good and we can't quite figure out why. And maybe it is just time for a course correction. Maybe it's way easier and a little bit less judgmental that we can feel, even with the things that are happening around us.
Yeah, and you just hit that nail right on the head a moment ago when you said something about mindset. You said the word mindset. And that's where it's all going to start. We can talk about the method. Here's your 6-step method of doing all the things that we said to do. But if you don't start with the right heart, if you don't start with the right mindset, and you don't start with the right spiritual environment, none of this is going to be sustainable. It's not going to work. Right. And that is something that can be cyclical or seasonal for us. We have that perfect mindset. It's just easy. Money comes and it flows and it's just easy. And then other times we're like in that stuck place. And I think for most people, when they're stuck, it's a spin cycle that they're stuck in. I've been here before. I've been here before. I've been here before. The ends didn't meet in our 20s, 30s, 40s, 50. And it's like, we get where we're in this wonderful place. And then all of a sudden it's like, I've been here before. I don't like it. My savings aren't there. I'm not achieving my goals. I'm frustrated. When we talk about money, it's a fight, at home. And there's this stress. Well, you spend too much. You don't make enough. All of that stuff. It's kind of that spin. So how you break out of that spin is you have a plan and you marry yourself to the plan, but you've got to have that mindset. You've got to have your heart right. And that means sometimes letting go. It's what you don't do more than what you do. And that can be forgive yourself. I've made mistakes before. I've lost money. I got involved in something I shouldn't have. I wanted the ground floor opportunity. Maybe fear or greed were the motivators for my decision when it should have been a godly decision. And that's easy to do in this world because all of the marketing comes from fear and greed. You're afraid you're not going to make it. You're afraid you're going to make a mistake. You're afraid you're not going to have enough. You're afraid to miss the opportunity. With only so many people can do it, I want to make sure I'm part of that team. I don't want to miss cyber currency, right? Oh, I don't want to miss gold. And so the marketing comes at you from fear, but also greed. I met with, unfortunately, this terrible case, but a pastor out of central U.S., 45-year pastor getting ready to retire. Just the other day, he was referred to me to help, and I hope that I can. And he had this little nest egg. And so he said, 3 or 4 times over my career as a pastor, I've lost it all. And these opportunities come through the church. Everybody does it. Everybody loses their money. It breaks up a lot of churches. And then he said, I've done that several times. And I'm just so full of shame, so full of guilt, and I don't want to do it again. Then he described this wonderful thing that he was doing. Same thing. And it happened to be out of the country, so there's no way to sue to get the money back. And it's, he believes he has $1 million and it's going to be a couple $1,000,000 in a few months. Well, if it sounds too good to be true, right? You can answer that. And so these things happen and people get so caught up. Even people that are walking with the Lord can have that moment where it's like, oh, the fear, what am I going to do? I'm in my late 60s now. What am I going to do? Fear, I better, I got to take care of my family. And I've made mistakes before. Or the greed, wow, I'm getting 5% a week, 5% a week, 5% a week. It won't be long. I'll have millions. Well, I don't know. And I always want to speak well, and I always want to speak life, but you've got to also use your brain. God gave it to us. You've got to use your discernment. So I called him back when he first called and explained all this to me, and he was asking a legal question, not necessarily financial, but I called him back and I said, I have to tell you, I've got some maybe, insights on this from my years of experience. And here's what I'm thinking. Here's a plan for you to help you recover from this and from some of the other things that have happened. And I think it's recoverable. And so whether he took the advice or not, I don't know. But it's one of those things where you wish you could go back and undo time and say, let's talk before you jump in, And that comes from mindset. But that story came to mind because you were talking about that, shame or fear or, I've made a mistake and I feel bad about it. I don't feel confident, making financial decisions because I didn't have a good mentor. My parents really didn't talk about money. Maybe they didn't manage it well. And I didn't go to school for that. How am I supposed to know? So I think if we can get to the place where we celebrate the successes that we've had, we've got something to work with. And we forgive ourselves for what we don't have, the mistakes we've made in the past, and just commit to do better and get that team in place and just, seek wise counsel prayerfully. I think we can all do better, take our lives to the next level. Whether you have $50 or $50 million doesn't matter. It's the same methods and the same mindset that'll help sustain you as you're on this journey.
Whew, that is so good. That is so good. You know, one of the things that the God's bringing to my mind right now is how important it's been in my walk with him that I get my mindset in alignment with what it is that he's telling me to do, and that he, and you know, through he, and I want to say he increases my faith to believe in what it is that he's told me to do. And then I can leap out and step out from that place knowing that he's leading and guiding me. So where I'm going with this, Judy, is I can just sense, you know, that people, they want greater depth. Sometimes when you hear things about finances, it can all be about like the bottom line, okay? But you and I are going to some deep places in this particular show about helping people shift their mindset to how they view their life, how they view their vision, how they view their legacy, how they view, what's in front of them, and what is it that God wants them to accomplish. Because God will always give us the funds for what it is that he wants us to accomplish. It doesn't mean that he won't ask us to take leaps of faith. But I think when we have these course corrections and things like that, it just requires another level of faith in believing who God is and the destiny that he's called us to. It doesn't mean we won't be stretched. It doesn't mean that sometimes we won't feel like a failure or that, we won't feel like we get stuck. Those are kind of all part of the plan. But I know when I land, my safe landing place for all things is, okay, Lord, I know you love me, and I know that there's a vision that you've put before me. You want to see me accomplish it. You are for me and not against me. And so therefore, you're going to give me the strategy, and you're going to connect me with the right people to help me fulfill that strategy, because you want to see that vision fulfilled. And I need to rest in this. And sometimes the strategy is going to change. Like for so many years, we might be going along and this is a perfect strategy, but because you're adjusting the vision or whatever, the strategy is going to change. And so Lord, increase my faith or change my mindset so I can rest with you. Because Judy, I believe that God is so good and that he wants financial freedom for all of his people. He does not want us to be bound, because that opens the doors of the enemy to work in our life. If we feel like we're full, if we feel like we're abundant, if we feel like we have more than enough, we're willing to take those risks and follow in those places. And if we don't, we actually become a target for the enemy, right?
Exactly. And he tells us individually, he tells us, I want you to thrive. I want you to prosper. I want you to do well. He tells us that one-on-one, but the Bible's full of language about that. Over, abundant, overflowing, pressed down, shaken together. There's all these wonderful verses that say this is how you should live. He wants us to have not enough, more than enough. And that gives us what we need for tools to not only fund the ministries and the causes that we care about, but make the kingdom go, the Great Commission. You can't send Bibles around the world. You can't send missionaries, with mosquito nets in there to drill wells and things like that without money. He doesn't want the church to be poor. And that's one of the frustrations I've had over the last 40 years or so of doing this. We're in a lot of churches, and some of the churches still teach some kind of an alignment. Poverty equals humility. And it doesn't.
No,
it does not. Poverty equals failure. It equals powerlessness. There's nothing that we can do. I think it's the devil's best way to tie our hands and keep us from doing God's work and being his hands and his feet. Yes. He wants us to be blessed beyond measure, because now we can take care of our families. And, the people who think about money don't have it. Wealthy people never think about money, talk about money. You think they're sitting around talking about their stock portfolios. They don't. They're doing their thing. Maybe it's ministry. Maybe it's kingdom building. Most of the people we know, we're in those circles. But it might be golf. They love golf. They love travel. They love, exploring new cultures and trying new foods and having adventures around the world. Whatever the passion is, they're doing it. It might be that they're passionate about every little kid playing soccer needs to have cleats every year. And they help their communities do that. You see it through scouting. You see it through coaching. People that are doing something beyond themselves because they have enough. They don't sit around and talk about their budget. They already have that handled. I think God wants us to live that way. It's pretty clear in the scriptures.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. So let's get down to just a few little practical aspects because your book, Money, Truth, and Life, is so incredibly practical. Folks, if you have not yet gotten a copy of this, you can get one. You can go to judycopenbargertoday.com, or you can go to, it's on Amazon, it's all them places, but best-selling book here, super practical. And so Judy, I want you to just kind of, you were talked about the Vancouver. You're making a plan to go to Vancouver, but you get sidetracked and head over to Las Vegas. But let's kind of in line with that from a practical standpoint, talk about how would we break down our money. So let's look at income levels, because you do a real good job of that in the book. Okay, you have a lot of different ways that we can get ourselves to fulfilling vision. So just take a scenario of some sort and help people kind of work through percentages, because that is kind of like one of the strategies that you have in the book. And I'm feeling this from the spirits. This is why I want to say this, because I think this might bring a blessing to some people. When you have somebody in your life like Judy and she gives you a recommendation, okay, if you have enough faith to believe in the recommendation, okay, and you step out and you do that and you believe that God has hooked you up with somebody and you do what they say, okay, you will see fruit come from this. Okay, so I'm speaking this outward here. Okay, I'm saying if God connects you supernaturally with certain people, like God's connected me with Judy, if she says, I think that's a good plan, let's try it, let's kind of see what comes up here, and I go and do it, guess what? God's going to bless me for doing it, right? Because I submitted myself to what she said. She's the expert in the area, and so he put her in my life, and so I go and do it, and then I go and I see the results of it. So I'm speaking that out to some of you, because you might be going, well, there's so many different strategies, so many different plans. If you're watching today's program and you get a copy of her book and you look through it, be prayerful about it, connect up with her, reach out to her, whatever. But just know this, that a strategy that God gives you is a strategy that will be successful for a season or for a period of time. Put your all into it and believe God for it. Trust Him for it. And then you're going to see an increase come one way or the other, no matter how crazy it might sound to try something. So Judy, let's try something. What do you want to do? The percentage one? Just pick, you can pick on me. Just pick something and break it down so that people can kind of see how it works.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a cash flow question. And that's one of the 5 pillars is cash flow and reserves. How much should I save? How much should I use for my expenses every month? Well, one mistake that people make is they think about a monthly period of time. What do I need this month to get through the month? Well, that mentality will maybe get you through the month. We need longer term eternal thinking. So every time money comes in to the household, you want to think now, soon, and later. Some of the allocation of the cash flowing in from a bonus you got or from your salary or from your business income needs to go for now. That's your monthly expenses. And, right now I need, new tires on my car, right now. Then there's soon, and that's going to be short-term goals or mid-range goals. It's going to be, well, my car's kind of old. In 5 years, I expect I'll need another one. Or within 5 years, I'd like to redo that back bathroom, right? Or there's a big trip I want to come up just, for some special occasion, graduation or anniversary or birthday or something. So those are like mid-range goals. And then you have long-term goals, which is going to be that retirement if you choose to, and those later years, legacy, things like that. So every time money comes in, and this is just a basic like spending plan or budget issue, is every time, let's say you have $3,000 a month come in, 30,000, doesn't matter. Every dollar should have a role. Part of it is for now. Part of it is for soon, short-term goals. Part of it is for later. So a good percentage, everybody's different. And of course, everybody's at a different level with income and the expenses you have now. So you have to kind of work toward, what your new normal might be if you want to change it. But for most people, if they can take 10% and immediately remove it from the household and get it out to kingdom work, get it out to tithe, get it out outside the house, now you have 90 left. The next 10% ought to go to something long-term. That could be your 401k. That could be your IRA, your long-term goals. If you have an investment account that you're, saving money for long-term, it should go there. That gives you 80 that you live off of and fund your other goals and giving from. So if everybody just did that, we would not have people that run out of month before money, right? Or run out of money before a month. Did I say it backwards? Yeah. So it's like the 26th, 27th, 28th, everybody's on a crash diet, right? Because we can't afford groceries till the 1st again. That's not how we're supposed to live. So hopefully those numbers will give you just a little idea. You can work the numbers, get pencil and paper and make your own numbers. But if 10% goes outside, 10% pays yourself, then you've got your taxes and all your expenses and your goals. You will be golden forever and never have to worry about being short when it comes to your spending plan.
Ooh.
Easy, right?
That is so good. That is okay. So now I'm going to talk from the aspects people go, okay, Judy, that sounds really awesome, but I'm like so far in debt right now. How do I incorporate that in? You've got 10, 10, and 80. I can barely live off of 80 and I have all this debt. So what do I do with this? How do I break that down?
How do we transition from here to there? It's a reboot. It's a restart. It's a new pivot. Pivot became a big word a few years ago. It's getting from here to there. So baby steps. So the first thing is to have the clear goals. One of the goals might be, I've got 30,000 in debt. I don't know how it happened. I just, had to make the ends meet for months and months and months. It added up. So how do I get that 30,000 debt down? Well, the first thing for a debt repayment strategy is you negotiate with the people that you owe. If it's consumer credit, credit cards or, furniture store, whatever, you can negotiate with them and you say, hey, it's 27% interest. Here are all of my bills. I can't do that. I can pay 7%. Or they'll even negotiate down the terms of how much you owe. If they look at the whole picture and that you're looking at, if you're, kind of underwater and they're looking at the same thing you're looking at, they're thinking, I'll take a little something better than nothing. Because if they file for bankruptcy or stop paying, I won't get anything. And they'll work with you and they will negotiate rates with you and they will set a new contract for you. And if you have, $1,500 in payments going out a month just to make minimum payments, if you could get it down to $700 or $800, you could still make the $1,500, but now you're actually paying principal down. So that would be one way. If somebody is underwater and rebooting right now and they're recovering from whatever happened in their world or their work or their family, health issues, whatever, that's a way to get that under control. And that's one of those line items every month in your spending plan is debt repayment. And so as we have, and maybe you need a side hustle for a while, there's only 3 ways to make the ends meet if they're not meeting. You make more money, you spend less money, you sell something. That's it. 3 choices. And make more money might be a side hustle. It might be, you're driving for Uber or Uber Eats or something. It might be you take that creative idea that God put in you so many years ago and turn it into a business. You take a craft or a hobby, turn that into a business. You help your kids make gift cards and you sell them, before Christmas. There's income, right? There's so many things that you can do to make income. And to spend less, you can look at all your budgets. How many subscriptions do you have for movie things? Do you need 8 or will 1 or 2 do it? How about all the subscriptions for softwares and all the things that you do online? Do you really need them all? The cable TV, if it's $300 a month, can we get by with 50 or 100? Or maybe turn it off for a while, right? So all these little course corrections help.
Have you been blessed by the Glory Road experience? Dr. Candice would love to be able to connect with you, as she does with all of her covenant partners in a special way. This covenant connection is called the Glory Road Community. By joining this connection group, you will be able to be empowered, enlightened, and spiritually coached by Dr. Smithyman in a more personal way. Go to register today at www.gloryroadcommunity.com.
You've been watching The Glory Road with Dr. Candice Smithyman. She can be seen all over the world. If this ministry has been a blessing to you, plant a seed in the ground. You can support by going to CandiceSmithyman.com. Remember, all donations are tax deductible.